So for the women, I have for the first round matchups. My first one I put is Konta versus Goff. I put Konta because Konta she did really well last year. She got to like the semis, I think, and she lost to Vondrousova. Konta made it to the round 16 at Rome, and Coco has actually been playing well on clay, I think, and she did a three-setter against Muguruza, and Muguruza is obviously a beast at clay, so it's kind of impressive for someone at her age as well. So I think it will be a juicy matchup for both of
Yeah.
them. I think Conta's got a hard draw for herself because she's got lots of like seeded and good players, but I think she could get them. But I think it'll be a
Yeah.
juicy matchup.
Yeah, that was one of my first one down. That section of the draw is actually so good. Obviously, when we're recording this, the qualifiers haven't been confirmed, so that's just a bit of forward for the rest of the episode. But at the moment, in that little section, it's Konta, Goff, Georgi, Shelby Rogers, fresh off a quarterfinal appearance at the US, Tomljanovic, and Sakari. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see who comes out of that one. So automatically, like pretty much all those matches, all the second round, all the third rounds in that section are right up there for me. But yeah, Konta versus Goff will be interesting. Konta is very prone to a first round Grand Slam exit, but as you said, Cam, she doesn't mind it at Roland Garros. But we'll see how Goff goes, bouncing back from her first round loss at the US. Brownie, what are the first round matches?
The first one, I'll stick with the women. The first one that really stuck out to me was Vondrousova against Swiatek. So Vondrousova made the final of the French Open last year and did well in Rome last week as well. I think she made the semi-finals. So clearly, even though it was a bit of a myth for the rest of 2019 after that Grand Slam final, stepped it up the last week or so. And then, of course, Swiatek's is like young gun coming up, unseeded again, as she was in at the US Open. And although not really a clay courter, but is in good form and playing good tennis. So that's an interesting first round matchup, and I'm excited to see what happens there.
Yeah, both the matches we've talked about, they're in Halep's. What would that be? Quarter of the draw. I think I was saying to Campbell before we came on. I think she's actually been pretty dogged with her draw. There's not like any big names there. But like I think there's a lot of decent clay quarters or just decent all round tennis players who could challenge her on if they perform well on that day. But yeah, that's going to be a good one. And next up, so I did my votes for. I think I mentioned in the US Open, but I finally did my votes for the tennis tournaments, and Vondrousova picked up the third most amount of votes in the Rome, so I was pretty impressed with her performance there. Someone else who I was impressed with, I don't know why I tried to do that segue, because the next one I'm going to talk about didn't even impress me there. In the women's draw, this is I don't have too many in the first round for the women's, but Ons Jabeur versus Zarina Diaz. Jabeur, I'd never seen her play on clay, but I'm assuming she's not the greatest clay quarter. Like quite a power player, but yeah, that's just a pretty good matchup. I'd say Diaz probably wasn't too far off being seeded, so just any match where it's like a high seed versus someone who just missed out on the seeding, it's always bound to be close. So I'm excited for that one. Kind of froth. I feel like Kazakhstan's almost the new Romania in women's tennis. They've got a few decent players coming through. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top in that one. Back to you, Cam.
I have the next one I had was Kontavet versus Garcia. They played each other at Rome, I'm pretty sure, and it was 6-3, 7-6, and Kontavet beat Garcia. But Garcia, I don't know. I think Garcia can come back because she did beat Pliskova at the US Open, like in the first round, I'm pretty sure. So we've definitely seen the talent from Garcia this year. and I think it will be a close match like the one they had at Rome.
Yeah, that's actually a good one. Not sure how
I
that
had that.
slipped through the cracks.
I had that for my last one as well. It was an interesting matchup. I think that Garcia also, it's the fact that it's in France at the French Open
Yeah,
may impact there, and she is more of she's one to thrive. I feel like in the bigger tournaments, and then kind of struggle in the smaller ones. But yeah, that'll be an interesting one to see because they're both like relatively in form at the
Mm.
moment.
yeah. That the top half of most of the matches we've talked about in the women's
Yeah.
draw, they're on the top half. The top half is a lot more even. Like the talent's spread out. Like even the unseeded players are pretty good. The bottom half probably has the
Yeah.
bigger names in terms of the seeds. Oh, actually, not even like Serena and
No.
Azarenka in the top half. So
I think
the
the top
half's
half
just
overall
way better.
is a much better side of the draw.
Yeah, because the bottom half, you've got a lot of the seeds like Kennan and stuff who just aren't playing at the level of what their ranking suggests at the moment. Even like
Yeah.
Keys, Martic. So yeah, the top half's very impressive. We'll just my only other women's match I had here, bit of a rogue one, but Layla Fernandez and Magda Lynette. Me and Brownie, big fans of Magda, and when we watched her when she was just a myth in like 2017 or something. Fernandez, I talked about her in the US Open episode, but she is like 17 or 18 or something, kind of having a bit of a breakout year this year. Probably if it wasn't for the COVID break, I think she would have found herself soaring up the rankings, but that kind of got halted a little bit. But yeah, Magda's, she's actually turning into like a pretty reliable player, which is you can't say that about too many people in the women's side of the draw. She usually just beats the people she should beat and then loses to the people you expect her to lose to. But Fernandez is a lot better than her ranking at the moment, so that'll be an interesting one. And I don't think they've got Kvitova in the third round, but I think the winner of that should definitely get to the third round, maybe even push on. But yeah, we'll see how they go there. Cam, do you have two more on the women's side, or?
Yeah, I'll just go through them quickly.
Yeah.
I had Kuznetsova versus Pavlyuchenkova. Like, I know Pavlyuchenkova hasn't been playing like the greatest recently, but I think she's obviously better in rankings than Kuznetsova, but Kuznetsova made it to round of 16 at Rome, which I thought was impressive for her. So I think that will be a good matchup. And I also had Zhang versus Keys, because Keys has always been good but inconsistent at times. And Zhang actually made it to the quarterfinals at the Strasbourg tournament.
Oh yeah.
So I think that'll be a good matchup.
Yeah, that's a rogue one. The winner of that will probably play Cornet, which is one of the second rounds that I'm interested in.
Yeah,
Brownie,
are
you all out for the men's?
I'm all out for the women's in the first round. I'm all out.
All right, so moving on to the men's, Brownie, who are you interested in here?
Well, there's the obvious one, but I don't really want to talk about it because it's there's more interesting ones in my opinion.
Wait,
so
are you saying Stan
obvious one
Murray?
is Stan against Murray, obviously. Yeah.
What's with all the former like beasts? They always get drawn against seeds. Like Nishikori has Evans and Cilic has Team, and like Anderson played a seed last time, I think. It's strange.
Yeah,
how
he
that
played
always
Zverev.
happens.
But the first one that interested me a lot was Monfils against Bublik. Bublik is playing well this week, last week and this week. I forget the exact people that he's beaten. I think he beat Auger Aliassime this week. And last week he beat. I'm just looking at it now.
Yeah, he beat.
He lost
he
the
beat
first
Felix
round last week.
pretty easy.
But he beat. Yeah, he beat Felix quite comfortably,
and Ramos,
and he's through the quarterfinals there.
Which is
but
not too
one
shabby.
reason is that Monfils is a top 8 seed, which surprises me to a certain extent. But
yeah,
he's not in good form at all. He's lost in straight sets in his first match in Rome and in Hamburg this week. So it'll be, and then Bublik's just a fun player to watch, and of course Monfils is also a fun player to watch. So it'll be interesting to see because I think it's a pretty level. Like obviously Monfils is the better player, but I think it's pretty even going into that one, and it'll be interesting to see what happens there over the 5 sets.
That's actually a good section of the draw. That part,
Yeah.
that matches so that's going to move me on to my next match, which is in that section.
Yeah.
Matavich and Schwartzman.
Yeah,
Schwartzman had a great Italian Open, made it to the final. He beat Rafa, lost to Novak in the final, but still just had a great week. And then Kekmanovic, what tournament did he win? Oh, I can't even remember. He won.
It was the one in the second week of the US Open.
Yeah,
it
like
was a
Kitzbühel.
Yeah,
Kitzbühel. Yeah, like I can't lie. He played absolute nobodies, but still you got to be playing well to win. You know, like 5 matches in a row, or however many it takes to win a tournament. So, that'll be interesting to see who comes out on top on that one. And yeah, that's in the same section as Bublik and Monfils. And in that section, you got Fritz, Koric, Mutet. Has been playing well recently. Thompson's even been playing well recently. So it'll be interesting to see some of those matches in that section. Cam, what do you like in the men's?
I had Batista Agut versus Gasquet. They actually played each other at Cincinnati, and Batista won 7-5, 6-1. So like the first set was close, second set not that close. But obviously, because Gasquet's French, I think he'll obviously fight harder in the French Open, and obviously because it's a Grand Slam as well, he's gonna play better and try and play better. But I think that with like the Grand Slam being in France, it'll give him more of a push, so he'll fight harder. So I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be closer than it was at Cincinnati.
Yeah, and like Batista good. I think he's come into a little bit better form the last 2 weeks, but he's been a bit shaky since post lockdown. I think he lost to Pospisil at the US Open, which you wouldn't normally expect from the great man. So who knows? Batista Good's probably going in as a heavy favorite, but Gasquet you can never really write off Gasquet, especially as Cam said in France. Brownie.
Yeah. So my last one that I have for the first round for the men is Yannick Sinner against David Goffin.
Yeah.
Have I taken your one there?
No, that's just one of I like that one.
Yeah. So obviously I think we've talked about Sinner a fair bit when we were talking about going to the US Open. But he's maybe 19 now. I think he's 18 or 19. He's ranked about 60 in the world, but he's been obviously playing better tennis than he's like been rising. And he's been in good form as well. Has he? I think he's been in quite good form out of lockdown.
Yeah. He beat Tsitsipas, I think, in Rome, if I'm not mistaken.
Cool. So he's been playing good tennis, and Goffin. I mean, I wouldn't say Goffin's in bad form, but I wouldn't say Goffin's in great form either. He's kind of just been doing the whole like beat who he should, lose who he should probably. Except sometimes he loses to people who are a little bit below him, but like hasn't copped any embarrassing losses, but also hasn't done anything particularly impressive. So he's definitely beatable if Sinner can step it up and like kind of play his best tennis. That can be really tight. I think Goffin will run away with it in the end, but I think we'll definitely have a couple of tight, interesting sets at the beginning of that match for sure. It's exciting.
No, I like that one. That's the exact kind of match that I would definitely target with the Grand Pass. Would pray it cops like a show court, but probably wouldn't, to be honest. I've got a few more, but I'll just say one of them. Actually, I don't even want to talk about it, but Team Cilic kind of just explains itself.
Cilic on clay, though, surely gets
that
chopped.
Is true. Yeah, Team should beat him pretty convincingly, but you can never write off someone of Cilic's caliber. Evans, Nishikori, that'll be an interesting one. Nishikori's coming off a long layoff. He's been a bit patchy after the US Open. I don't exactly remember his results since, but I think in that tournament that Kekmanovic won, I think he lost to like a qualifier in the first round or something. So he's probably not seen them great, but he could beat Evans. And then obviously Stan Murray. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
This is an absolute random one, but Mayor I don't know how to say his name, but Mayo, or he was like he won the juniors at the Oz Open. He's playing Davidovich Fokina, so a bit of a young gun battle there, both in good form. Mayo, he's playing well in the challenges, but this is a strange one. But this is the final one I want to talk about. Laszlo Dare versus Kevin Anderson. Very strange matchup. Dare is probably one of the biggest clay court specialists on the tour, not in terms of his clay is like the best in the tour, but compared to his other surfaces. I was looking at his stats on Wikipedia, so I'm not sure how accurate they are, but on clay, his win record is about 67%. On grass and hard, it's below 25. So he's basically just earning a living on clay. He's pretty useless in the other stuff. And then Kevin Anderson obviously got a lot of pedigree. Clay doesn't probably suit him, but I was looking at some of his form in the last 2 weeks, and he's actually playing all right. So it'll be interesting to see how that matches up. But yeah, that's all I've got for the men's. Cam, rolling back over to the women's second round. Who are you liking there?
I
do
just
you
have
have
two
more
more
men's?
men.
Oh yeah, you go.
I'll just go through them quickly. I have Struff versus TFO.
Oh yeah,
I think
that's actually an interesting one.
I think they both made it to like the third round of the US, something like that. So they're playing like the same. And then I also had Berrettini versus it's Pospisil, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The informed man.
Yeah, he's very informed. He had a really good US Open run. He also beat Shapovalov this year, and Berrettini. I mean, I think he's like almost top 10 seeded player. So obviously he's playing well, and he got to like the quarterfinals at Rome. So he's playing well as well. So that'll be interesting.
Queensland! It's a miracle! Oh yeah! What about that one? Unbelievable! Balotelli, Aguero! Crowd cheers. Here's Siddle.